This is a crochet tutorial for my simple lace granny square. This tutorial is beginner friendly, but you will already need to know the basic crochet stitches. The tutorial is in US terms, but the free written pattern is available via the link down in the description, and that is available in both US and UK terminology. Let's get crocheting. To start your square, we need to make a slip knot, so make one using your preferred method. This is how I make my slip knots. Put my hook to the one side of the working yarn and pull out, and I rotate my hook 360 degrees, making this twist that I use instead of a slip knot. I'm going to pinch that twist, and then we need to chain 4. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. So here we've got a chain of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So into that first chain that we made, we're going to make a slip stitch to join the two ends of this chain into a ring that is going to form the centre of our granny square. So into that first chain I'm going to put my hook, and then I'm going to yarn over and pull it through everything on my hook. Now this just looks like a mess of yarn, but if I give it a bit of a wiggle, I can actually get my finger into the centre of it. So that is going to form the centre of our square, and we're going to crochet into that ring for our first round. To start round 1, chain 3, so yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, 1, 2, 3. That chain of 3 there is going to count as our first double crochet stitch. That's in US terms, or treble crochet in UK terms. From this point forward, I'll be referring to it as a double crochet. So we're going to make 2 double crochets into this ring, and what I'm doing is I'm holding this yarn tail next to my chain, so I'm going to crochet over the top of it and sort of trap it inside my crochet as we go. It will make sense once I've done it. So we're going to make a double crochet into the centre of this ring. So yarn over, put your hook into the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then we're going to make 1 more double crochet, yarn over, put your hook into the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So because we're counting this chain as our first double crochet, we've made 3 double crochet into that ring, and that forms one side of our square. So now we need to make the corner. So we're going to chain 2 for each corner. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. So now we're going to make 3 more double crochets into that ring. So that's our first double crochet, our second double crochet, and our third double crochet. 1, 2, 3. So now we're going to make another corner, so we're going to chain 2 and then make 3 more double crochet into that central ring. So this is our first double crochet and the second double crochet and then the third double crochet. So we've got 1, 2, 3 sides of our square, so we're going to repeat this one more time. We're going to chain 2, and then we're going to make 3 more double crochet into that centre of the ring. So that's our first double crochet, our second double crochet, and our third double crochet. So we've now got 4 groups of 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, forming the 4 sides of our square. But we do have this big hole in the centre, so to close that up, turn your work over, and if you've managed to crochet over that tail, you can give that tail a pull. Ooh. Sorry for my squeaky acrylic yarn, and you can see that that centre of that square has closed up nicely. So our final corner is worked a little bit differently. I do my corners a little bit differently to most crocheters because I think it looks neater. So this is a top tip if you're a new crocheter. So for this corner, chain 1, and then we're going to make a single crochet into the top of that chain. So 1, 2, 3, that's the top of our chain there, and I'm going to make a single crochet by putting my hook into the top of that starting chain, yarning over and pulling it through the starting chain. Then I'm going to yarn over and pull through the 2 loops on my hook, and this has completed our 4th corner. So before we start round 2, we're just going to have a quick look at that corner that we just made. So it was made up of a chain 1 and then a single crochet, whereas all of our other corners were made up of 2 chains. So the reason why I prefer this method for my corners is it means I'm starting in the very corner of the square on every single row, and that hides that starting chain nicely along the corner rather than up the side of one square. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I do recommend it because it does make for a neater square. So to start round 2, we need to chain 4 this time. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So this round is going to be a lacier round than our first round. It's going to have lots of gaps in it to give that lacy effect. So what this starting chain of 4 is those first 3 chains of our starting chain, they count as a double crochet, and that chain 1 on top is a chain 1. So we've got a double crochet and a chain 1 starting in that corner. And now we're going to skip this corner space and that single crochet completely and make a double crochet into the top of that starting chain just there. So the same space we went into as that single crochet, we're going to make a double crochet there. So this is sort of how our row is going to look. It's going to have a lot of holes like this to give that lacy effect. So now chain 1. And we're going to skip the next stitch and make a double crochet into the stitch after that. So this stitch here, we're going to make a double crochet into, and then we chain 1. So that's what my square is looking like. So we're now at a corner space. So in the corners of this round, we're going to work a double crochet, and then 2 chains. So the corners are the same as the round below, we're making 2 chains. So 1, 2. And then you're going to make another double crochet into that same corner space we just went in. So just there. And that is our corner here. Some people struggle to see where their corners are, so they know to put the corner group in. So if you do struggle with seeing your corners, pop a stitch marker or a safety pin or a bit of scrap yarn into that corner to mark it, and do that in all 4 corners, and then you can move that stitch marker up every round so you know that is your corner and you're doing your corners in it, because it's not quite obvious because it's not got that sharp point that squares have. It's kind of a rounded edge. So that's just a little tip there for you. So to continue round 2, we're now going to chain 1 and we're going to make a double crochet into that first stitch. And then chain 1, skip a stitch and do a double crochet into the stitch after that skip stitch. So we're going into this stitch just there, and then chain 1, and then we're at a corner again, so we're going to work another corner. So we're going to do 1 double crochet and we're going to chain 2 to make the corner space, and then another double crochet into that same corner. So you can see here, here's a corner and here's a corner. We're going to repeat this on the last 2 sides of our square. So I'm going to chain 1, then I'm going to make a double crochet into that very first stitch. And I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to make a double crochet into the 3rd stitch of that group. So I'm skipping the central stitch of that group of 3, skipping that stitch and making my stitch into that stitch there. And then chain 1, and then we're at a corner space next, so we're going to make a corner. So we do a double crochet and then we chain 2. And then we make another double crochet into that corner space there. And then chain 1 and make a double crochet into that very first stitch there. then chain 1, then we're going to skip a stitch and make a double crochet into the next stitch, and then we're going to chain 1, and we are now back at that very first corner that we made with that single crochet there. So that's a corner, that's a corner, and that's a corner there, and that's our sort of lace around that makes this granny square that little bit special. Now we're going to make a double crochet into that corner space there, and then I'm going to chain 1 just like we did on the last corner, and then just like on the last corner we're going to make a single crochet that will count as our second chain, but we're not going to be doing it into the top of our starting chain. If you remember from the beginning of this round, our first 3 chains count as our double crochet, and that 4th chain counts as the chain across these lacy gaps here. So we're actually going to make our single crochet into the 3rd chain, so that's 1, 2, 3. So we're going to make our single crochet into that stitch there. I'll just bring it a little bit closer so you can see exactly where I'm putting my hook. And then make your single crochet to finish off round 2. Well done for finishing round 2. It's a little bit tricky compared to a normal granny square, but look how beautiful it looks with all of those lace spaces. So now we're going to move on to round 3. So for round 3, remember that single crochet counts as our second chain. And for round 3, we're going to go back to doing a solid row of double crochet with none of these chain 1 spaces and skipping stitches. We're going to be crocheting into every stitch and chain along the way. So be sure to look at exactly where I'm putting my hook for every stitch so that you're getting the right number of stitches. If you want a full stitch count, that is in the written pattern that is linked in the description. So for round 3, start with a chain of 3 this time, and that counts as our first double crochet. And then we're going to make a double crochet back into that chain 2 space. So over that is our single crochet that we made to finish off that corner space. Now make a double crochet around it just like that. There we are. So that's our double crochet into that corner space there. So the next stitch is our starting chain. So we're going to make a double crochet into the top of that starting chain. So you bring it a bit closer, so in that space there, and try and crochet this around a little bit closer for you so you can see exactly where I'm putting my hook. And then we're going to make a double crochet into this chain space here. So I'm putting my hook into that space there and making that double crochet. And then the next stitch is a stitch, so we're going to make a double crochet into the top of that stitch just there. And then our next stitch is a space, so we do a double crochet into that chain space, then work a double crochet into the next stitch, then a double crochet into the next space. I think you can see a pattern now. And then a double crochet into the next stitch. So if you can see here, we've got round 1, which was a solid round, then we've got round 2, which was a lace round, and then round 3 that is a solid round that frames that lace beautifully. So our next space is made up of 2 chains, so that is a corner. Remember, you can put a stitch marker into your corners to make it a little bit easier for you if you are a beginner and you can't quite read your crochet just yet. And then into this corner space, our corner groups for this round are a bit differently to the last round. So in the last round, our corner groups was 1 double crochet, chain 2, 1 double crochet. In the solid round, it's 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, just to give that more solid effect. So we're going to make 2 double crochet into that corner space. And then we make 2 chains to make the corner. And then we do 2 double crochet back into that corner space. So 1, 2. So that is our corner. So now we've got a bit of a hidden stitch. So a hidden stitch is where we've put some crochets in the space next to the stitch, and we can't quite see where we're going to be putting our hook for the next stitch. And this is a problem that a lot of beginners have, is they don't realise that that is the stitch we're going into and not that one. So to reveal this hidden stitch, I'm going to pull my stitches over just a little bit here. And you can see I've revealed that top stitch where we're going to be putting our hook. So I'm going to yarn over and then put my hook into the top of that stitch just there and make that double crochet. And then our next stitch is a chain 1 space, so we're going to make a double crochet into that chain 1 space and then a double crochet into the next stitch, and we're going to repeat this until we get to the next corner space, making a double crochet into each space and each stitch as we go. So I'm just doing that, and I will probably I won't speed this up. Let's watch me do it at my actual speed of crocheting for once. So we've made our way up to the next corner space, and I can tell it's a corner because there's 2 chains just there. So into that chain 2 corner, we're going to make one of those corner groups again of 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. So we'll do 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 2 chains, and then 2 more double crochet. Let me just sort out this big tangle of yarn. So there we've made our second corner there, and you can see how our square is starting to come together. So we've got that hidden stitch issue again, so I'm going to pull those stitches I've just done over to reveal the top of that stitch there, and I'm going to work a double crochet into it. And then I'm going to repeat this all the way around, so I'm going to work a double crochet into every space and stitch all the way around, and then once I come to this corner, I'm going to do 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, and there are written instructions for this for you to refer to. So if you continue that round, I'll meet you back at this last corner and we will start round 4, which is another lacy round. So here I am at the end of round 3, and I'm back up to our starting corner. So into that last corner space, I'm going to make 2 double crochet, and then we're going to work that corner just like we've done in the previous rounds with a chain 1 and then a single crochet into the top of that starting chain. So now we're going to work round 4, which is another lacy round. The joy of this square is you can make it as big or as small as you like, as many rounds as you like. We're just going to be alternating solid rows and lacy rows. So for round 4, we're going to start with a chain of 4, just like in round 2. So there's my chain of 4. Our first 3 chains count as a double crochet, and then that 1 chain counts as 1 chain. And then because this is a lacy row, we're going to be working a double crochet and then a chain 1, skip a stitch all the way along this side. So I'll show you what that looks like again. So we're going to make a double crochet into the top of that starting chain from the last round. And then we're going to chain 1, skip the next stitch, and work a double crochet into the next stitch after that, creating that lace. And then chain 1 and make a double crochet into, we're going to skip that stitch, sorry, and then we're going to make a double crochet into that stitch there. So we're skipping that stitch and then going into that stitch there. We're going to repeat this all the way along every side of the square. So chain 1, skip a stitch, make a double crochet into the stitch after that skipped stitch, chain 1, skip a can't say this, chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, all the way until you reach a corner. And then in the corner, we're going to chain 1 and then make a double crochet into that corner space, chain 2, and then make a double crochet back into that same corner space, making that corner there. So this is what our square is looking like. And then we're going to repeat this all the way around our square. It's exactly the same as we did for round 3. So chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet all the way along, and then in each corner you work a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. So I'm going to work that all the way around my square, and I'll meet you back at this corner and we'll start round 5 together, and then you will have all of the skills and knowledge you need to make this square as big as you like. So I've made it back round to the last corner of round 4. And then I'm going to chain 1 and make 1 double crochet into that corner space. And then I'm going to do our corners exactly the same as round 2. So I'm going to chain 1, I'm going to work a single crochet into the 3rd chain of that 4 chain starting chain. So 1, 2, 3 in that chain there. I'm going to make a single crochet. And now I'm ready to start round 5, and like I said, you can make this square as big as you like. So round 5 we're going to start with a chain of 3 because this is a solid round. Remember, we're alternating lace and solid rounds. Because this is a solid round, our next stitch is going to be into that chain space. We're going to make a double crochet into the chain space around that single crochet we just made. And then you're going to work a double crochet into every stitch and space all the way along the side of the square, just like we did in round 3. For rounds 4 and 5, you can just keep repeating these. So we do that lace round and then a solid round. So let's continue with that solid round. So I'm going to do a double crochet into the top of that starting chain, and then a double crochet into the next chain, and then another double crochet into the next stitch, and then a double crochet into the next space. I'm going to keep repeating these steps until I reach this corner. Then we're going to make one final corner together, and then I'm going to whiz around to the last corner and show you how we fasten off and weave in our ends. So I've just quickly crocheted along this side of the square, working 1 crochet into every space and stitch. And then these corners, don't forget, we have to deal with a hidden stitch. So we're going to do 2 double crochet into that corner space, then chain 2, and then 2 double crochet into that corner space. So we've got 2, chain 2, 2 double crochets, and then sometimes this stitch here is hidden, so I'm going to pull my stitches over to reveal the top of that stitch. I'm going to work a double crochet into it, and then keep repeating these steps all the way around, double crochet into every chain and stitch, and then in the corners we work 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. And don't forget, there's a written pattern in US and UK terms that you can refer to as you do this round. So I'll meet you back at this corner when we will finish off our square neatly. So here I am at my last corner, and because I know this is going to be the last round, I'm going to finish off this square not with a single crochet but with 2 chains. So I'm just going to show you that. In my tutorials I usually show the invisible join, but in this tutorial I'm going to show you a slip stitch join because I know some people prefer that method. So I'm going to make a chain of 2, and then I'm going to trim my yarn, leaving about a 6-inch tail. That's probably a bit more than 6 inches, but the more the better for weaving in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that starting chain, just there. And then I'm going to keep pulling and pull that yarn tail through that slip stitch we just made. And if I give that a good pull, that tightens that up and secures that end. It does leave a bit of a bump, which is why I usually prefer to do a invisible join. So now we're going to weave our ends in just to neaten up the look of this square. So I'm just going to thread my yarn onto a tapestry needle, and then I'm going to take it and work the yarn down the back of one of these stitches. just like that. I'm just picking up threads as I went, and then we're going to work it back and forth at least 3 times over at least 1.5 inches ish, just to secure that ending. So I'm just running my needle under some of these stitches, and then I'm going to pick up a loop and then run it back. And then I'm going to pick up a loop and run it back the other way, and this will stop your square falling apart over time. Now I'm going to snip that tail, and then you would do the same with that central one, maybe working it around the centre and then back and forth these stitches here. So that is how to crochet a lace granny square. I'm thinking about maybe making a summer cardigan out of these squares for next summer, because it's a bit late for me to start cardigan now. But let me know in the comments what you're going to use your lacy granny squares for.